In security matters, the encryption wars. The terror attacks in Paris have reopened the debate over whether and how technology companies should let governments bypass privacy controls on digital devices. Joining me with the latest is Tony Cole, Vice President and Global Government Chief Technology Officer for FireEye. Tony, before we start, I need to point something out. So far, there's no hard evidence that the terrorists in France relied on encrypted communications. That said, so-called end-to-end encryption technology is mainstream now. Who uses it and how does it work?
You know, that's a really good question, Morris, and we're seeing more and more people actually utilize encryption from the consumer side. Governments obviously started down this path long before anybody else. We see a lot of corporate communications now actually being encrypted, and government-to-government communications are encrypted, you know, from the U.S. and some of its allies across the world. So I think we're going to continue to see encryption ramp up since we've seen so many cyber attacks around the globe now that have had such a massive impact.
The CIA and FBI want tech companies to give them backdoor access. But Apple CEO Tim Cook argues there's no such thing as a backdoor for good guys only. The debate between privacy and security will continue for some time, Tony. I want to talk about the science. How is a backdoor built, and can it be done in a way that restricts access to government?
You know, it's a really good question as well, and quite frankly, it cannot be done, you know, where it would be restricted only to government. So we have to keep in mind that these devices will get sold, you know, to anybody that wants to buy them. If Apple or any other company implemented an encryption backdoor or an exceptional access mechanism, as some scientists like to say, then that backdoor could be examined by anybody who bought the phone. And the one thing we've found through many vulnerabilities being found in software, which is helping these some of these major cyber attacks take place, so is that if we give the attackers enough time with the tools, they're going to find vulnerabilities and find ways in, and we certainly don't want to create, you know, one more route in for the bad guys.
Basically, you can't control who has the keys, even though the key says do not copy. That's
correct.
Basically it. All right. Until recently, you needed a powerful desktop or server computer to encrypt communications. Now these tools are in the palm of your hand. That begs the question, is this technology so mainstream that bad actors can build it themselves?
You know, bad actors can build it themselves, and we also need to keep in mind, you know, one of the primary reasons it's a bad idea to actually put a backdoor into a system is because it's widespread around the globe access to tools like this. And if we go through and we actually really locked down, you know, these systems and forced companies to put backdoors in for law enforcement and intelligence agencies here in the United States, not only could we see the Snowden prism effect where other companies outside of the United States bought other products because they don't want U.S. law enforcement having access. We also need to be concerned with the fact that many of the bad guys will just go get their encryption somewhere else, so from another company, and actually further impact U.S. businesses.
Now let's talk more about Edward Snowden. In 2013, he revealed efforts by the National Security Agency to break encryption technology. That was years ago. The private sector keeps pushing the encryption envelope at the speed of light. Considering these advances, is government fighting a losing battle? Is encryption technology getting more difficult to break?
I think it is getting more difficult to break, you know, and it's going to continue to go down that path. If we look at the possibilities with quantum, you know, mechanics and quantum physics and that being applied to cryptography, it's going to become more and more difficult to break it. So there are multiple routes, though, going around the way something is encrypted and actually finding backdoors and side access into encryption technologies. So there are still going to be methods that are going to be successful, but nevertheless, I think the difficulty and complexity will continue to increase.
A very timely discussion. Tony Cole with FireEye, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.